Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Animators React. We are here with Aaron Blaise, a longtime animator, has worked at Disney, has done a bunch of other projects as well.
Yeah.
Oh, confound it, Raja!
It was my first time that I had my own character. And I was still struggling as an animator too, just to animate.
Peter is joining us as well.
What's up? You know, I have a lot of experience in 3D animation, but 2D animation, I've only dipped my little tip of my pinky toe in. So I'm excited to ask a lot of questions.
I'm the exact opposite of that.
So this should be, we got all the bases covered.
Yeah, that's cool.
That hurts!
So by the end of this movie, was animating the beast just second nature for you?
Animating the beast was never second nature, ever. And to this day, he's not second nature. No, he was a super difficult character.
So we're gonna jump in and look at some amazing clips. Let's get to it.
All right. This was an animated short we did at our studio back in 1995-ish. I animated about the first minute, and there's a shot in here where he gets caught up in a rope. And to this day, it's probably one of the most complicated 2D animated shots I've ever had to do. I don't do 3D, so it is the most complicated. And I can explain to you why after we see it.
I guarantee you it would be a lot easier in 3D.
Klutz.
Went right through here. So,
oh, goodness.
Now watch. The thing is, he's animating in a circle, right? And it has to get smaller. And he's spinning as he's doing it. And that spinning has to get slower. And then he starts to go back the other way. So I'm trying to emulate real world physics. And then on top of it all, have him act at the same time.
Wow.
And even the ear is dragging on the ground.
Yeah, dragging on the ground, everything.
How do you conceptualize what it should look like at any given orientation?
So when you come up with a complex thing like this, all you got to do is you got to start breaking it down. What's the main thing that you got to do first? The first thing I had to do was figure out that pendulum. Once he comes swinging in, like I just animated a line with a flour sack on the end of it, and I got the timing to come in and just stop. So then I took that timing, laid paper over the top, and animated the same timing, but now I put perspective in it and had it settle down. Then I went over again and had it rotate over the top of that and had that slow down, and then I put the acting over the top of it. And that was fun to do. I love doing big. That's one of the things about Roger Rabbit that's so much fun is how broad you can get with it. And we just had a great time.
Roger Rabbit was a really interesting slice of pop culture animation.
Yeah, it really was.
It was just a little bit before my time. It was, a little more meant for grown-ups when I was a kid. But it wasn't Bugs Bunny or Daffy Duck or Mickey Mouse. It was this new thing that existed in this weird Robert Zemeckis
and he wasn't
universe.
Exactly. He wasn't created until 80. The original came out in '88, but they really gave him this great Tex Avery kind of feel, so it felt like he was timeless. He's this kind of 1940s kind of character.
So right after Roger Rabbit, you jumped into Beauty and the Beast?
So after Roger Rabbit, I was promoted to animator, and we went on to The Rescuers Down Under. And I, as a new animator, you get a lot of hey, we've got 104 mice in the background that need to clap. So that was one of the shots I did. So I did a lot of the peripheral prison animals and things like that were in the movie, and it was a nice little growing period. The other thing to mention is that during this time, Walt Disney Feature Animation was 2 studios. There was one in Los Angeles and one in Orlando. It was the intent originally that the one in Orlando, we were going to do shorts and featurettes with Mickey, Donald, Goofy, until the studio in LA started getting behind in some of the movies they were making, and so we came in to help out. And so Mark was a big animator. He was like the big cheese at our studio in Orlando, and he was really great at animating women. And so in Beauty and the Beast, he was assigned to animate Belle. And so Glenn Keane, he and I had a relationship at this point because he was my mentor. He was in charge of the Beast, and there was going to be a lot of scenes that Mark was animating Belle where Beast was going to be opposite of her. And he came to me, he said, hey, I'm putting together a crew to animate the Beast, and it's going to be a crew of 6 guys, and I'd like you to be the Florida Beast guy. And I was like, okay, and I'm saying okay on the outside, and inside I'm going, oh my God, I don't know if I can do this. It's really scary.
Take whatever booty you can find, but remember, the Beast is mine!
Kill the Beast! Kill the Beast! Kill the... Where's everybody? Just leave me out here in the rain? Well, I guess that's okay, because today I'm wearing all my Vessi gear. Yep, that's right, today's sponsor. It is the rainiest time of the year here in California, and I know for a fact where you live, you probably get some crazier weather than we do. So I'm gonna tell you why Vessi has got you covered. All Vessis are 100% waterproof. They're all made with this Diamond-Tex material, which keeps you cool in the summer and warm in the winter. They're lightweight and comfortable, and they easily slip on and off. So I'm wearing my Altas today for the high ankle protection, but they also have the Weekender, the Everyday shoe, the Chelsea boot, and the Stormburst hiking shoe all have the same benefits and features that Vessi has to offer. All Vessis are sustainably made, meaning less water waste and completely vegan. And if all that sounds good to you, that applies to more than just their shoes. They got jackets, hats, fanny packs, and gloves. So if you're looking to stay dry this rainy season with some awesome waterproof gear, or just need to up your style with an everyday solid shoe to get you through any situation, go to vessi.com/corridorcrew, or just hit that link in the description below and you'll get 15% off your first purchase. Thanks again to Vessi for sponsoring this video, and let's get back to Animators to React, where Aaron's got some sick insights on how he animated the beast himself.
And so this sequence coming up was one of the first sequences he gave me.
Just hold still.
That hurts!
This sequence here is the first time that these two that have been butting heads the whole time, it's the first time they come to this, where she says thank you, and he's softened, and that was super generous of Glenn to give that to me. I came out to California from Florida, and we sat together for 3 weeks, and all I did was thumbnail. I didn't do any animation, but I sat and I drew pose after pose after expression, thousands, and ran it through Glenn. And by the end of it, you know, I'd cut out this pose and I'd cut out this pose and tape it together. And I had this kind of roadmap of how to animate this whole sequence.
Wow.
And then I went back to Florida and animated it, and it took about 3 months to do.
So by the end of this movie, was animating the beast just second nature for you?
Animating the beast was never second nature. And to this day, he's not second nature. He was a super difficult character. No, but by the end of the film, and we always joke about this, by the end of the movie, you're ready to start animating that character. And yeah, because you finally get to know the character enough that you feel like you can really get him down in the way that you want. And it's true.
Ready for the sequel.
Yeah, the stuff that the first half of the film, that stuff has to get cut in, it's got to go. But you look back at it at the end and go, oh my God, I wish I could redraw that. But you got to let it go. One of the great things about Glenn is just how incredibly generous he is. And he gives you work that you just can't handle. But he works you through it. And by the end of it, you know, I've done this in interviews before. You start here, and at the end of it, you're up here. You know, and what's nice is that the way it worked at Disney is when you finished a film, the directors on the next film look at your reel from your previous film.
Yeah, this is about as good as a reel as you can get.
Yeah, it launched my career, and it was all because of Glenn Keane. And so in films like Aladdin that came after this, you know, because they liked my reel, they gave me a character. So I was given Raja to animate.
Jasmine! Oh, confound it, Raja!
It's a very small role. There's nothing really special about Raja, but it was my first time that I had my own character. And I was still struggling as an animator too, just to animate. I was always fascinated with animals and animal anatomy and comparative anatomy. You know, I went into some big cat rescue places and this one place I got into the pen with these 3 kind of adolescent tiger cubs and just got completely shredded, just bloodied and everything else. And I was bleeding for my art. But I was able to take that knowledge that I got from that firsthand experience and then combine that with the art direction, which is based on the art of Al Hirschfeld, who is a very fluid type of caricature artist. And so one of the difficulties I had was taking everything I learned about tigers and how tough and strong and kind of angular in the way that I had them in my head and kind of giving them this fluid, soft look. I was having a lot of hard time doing it.
Oh, Father. Raja was just playing with him, weren't you, Raja?
So for something like this is 2 different animators working on these 2 different characters.
Yes.
So how do you get the tracking of the hand right?
That's a great question. So Mark and I got to be pros at this because from movie to movie, we worked together. And so whoever's dominating a shot is who would start the shot. So I started this shot because we start with Raja. So he comes walking in, and as soon as she grabs him and starts doing this to him, that's when I hand it over to Mark. And then Mark animates Jasmine and kind of indicates where her hands are going to be and how his head is going to rotate. And then I just go back and fit that animation. I redraw mine. So we go back and forth.
And I noticed she started on 2s. He was on 1s.
He was on 1s because of the pan. So you can't do pans on 2s, well, you can, but it chops really bad. So the pan is always on 1s, and then once that pan stops, then it goes to 2s right there.
Yeah, the panning and 2s thing is like something I discovered this year when we were making our anime rock, paper, scissors stuff.
Yeah.
It's like, if you had somebody like moving this way and they're animated on 2s, but the frame is panning in the opposite direction,
It's just,
you end up like, you slide and pop, and slide and pop.
Exactly,
slide and pop.
exactly. It's got to be on 1s. There's so many things I would change. I would go back and redo. But one of the great things was that, and from a timing standpoint, after Aladdin was The Lion King. And once again, I'd have all this experience with Mark. And so Mark was assigned to do young Simba. He has a little friend named Nala. And once again, I'm still kind of an up-and-coming animator, so it's a perfect role for me.
Hey, Nala. Hi, Simba. Come on, I just heard about this great place.
I remember doing this. That was a lot of fun.
Love the way the tongue sticks there.
Yeah, Serafina, I think it was Serafina was her mother. And I remember sitting down thumbnailing that whole section where it was just have some fun with it and just her getting a bath. One of the things I loved about this, it's obviously different than films like The Jungle Book or Robin Hood. Lion King, it's, animals being animals, with human emotions. And so, taking the idea of the daily bath, that's something we went through as kids and telling it through the eyes of cats, which I thought was a lot of fun. But this is a big one for me because, here's a character that really emoted, which was different than Raja. And so this is the first time that, I had a character that I could really kind of sink my teeth into as an animator and have some fun with her acting.
So how are you drawing an animal but still getting it to emote humanistically?
Well, one of the biggest ones is eyebrows.
Yeah.
It really is. It's eyebrows. Our eyebrows are so tied into our psyche and the way we emote and the way we read expression. Arguably, you could take the eyes away and just have the eyebrows and you can get the expression. We're so tuned in that if you get an expression simple enough, because one of the things I really tout is the simpler your character's expression is, the more clear it is. If you get it simple enough, you move it a line width and you can get a different expression.
Wow.
And it's all subtlety of what a character's feeling. And so that's one of the things we strive for when we're creating expression in our animation, is just getting that as simple and clear as possible. The more complex that you get, if all these angle changes and things like that in the mouth, you're diluting it, you're watering it down.
You must take your place in the circle of life.
So, there's the new Lion King remake, which was a much more realistic approach to portraying it. It's almost like nature photography.
Yeah, it is. And I think it's beautiful for what it is as well.
And it's gorgeous. What did it feel like revisiting a film that you worked so hard? Like scenes that you crafted, performances that you made, now being reinterpreted.
Yeah, and
25 years later.
I love having that perspective. I love being one of the ones that worked on the original. There's a certain pride I take in that. It's the same feeling that
no pun intended.
Yeah, I didn't even catch myself saying that. But it's the same feeling I had when I saw the Lion King stage show for the first time. The stage show, when I was in Broadway and I was watching, I started crying because I remember, when they were playing, Can't Wait to Be King and all of that, the emotions and the fun, and you're not just going back to the work that you did and the inspiration that you had to make the work. You're not just being brought back to that. You're being brought back to that time in your life. You're thinking about the studio and your family and everything. It's cool.
And I imagine spending so much time with one character, you have a real affinity for them.
Yeah, they become real.
Yeah.
They really do. Yeah, I get emotional now talking about it. It's just, you get a little lump in your throat.
Oh.
Yeah, I mean, my daughter was 2. She's 34 now. And she was 2, and she was a big kind of inspiration in the look of Nala. The big eyes and, the slightly slanted, doughy eyes that she had. And so I put her into the character. And it's funny because whenever she talks about the Lion King, or, my dad worked on the Lion King and I'm Nala. And my grandkids think that their mother is Nala. Yeah, that's cool.
Just a reminder that anytime we get an amazing industry professional like Aaron to join us on the couch, we have these extended React episodes that go into a whole bunch of detail on these stories that usually doesn't make it for the YouTube cut. So yeah, if you are fascinated by this episode and you want more, check out the extended version of this episode and many others on corridordigital.com.
John Lewis is a department store in the UK, and every Christmas they do a huge ad campaign for Christmas. So they're known for doing these really heartfelt commercials. This year, 2013, they wanted to do something with animation. So they asked me to come in and design their characters and then direct the animation for the commercial. But they wanted to do it in a different style. The animation was going to be drawn traditionally, hand-drawn, but then printed out on boards that were laser cut, and then they were placed in a miniature set, like stop motion set. And it created this really cool look.
That's a really interesting idea.
Yeah, and so what you see here is the result of that. It's really neat.
So this is all practical photography?
Yes.
Wow.
So all the shadows are real shadows.
Wow.
That's what's super cool about it. Yeah, so but look at the effect you get, you know, the shallow depth of field and the shadows. Yeah. There's some compositing, obviously, with the snow when the birds are flying, but other than that, it's all in camera.
You know, sometimes when you're putting real people into CG shots as cards, you get the issue of, okay, should they be fully emissive or should they accept light?
Right.
And it seems like you had to go through the same challenges here.
We did, and so you'll notice a lot of it's flat light, so we didn't have to worry about that, or we put them in shadow areas, or they're painted like in silhouette. The light source is behind.
So that was painted onto the actual image that got printed out?
Yes, so like you've got this shot here, he's in light, but he's painted light like that to look like he's got light on him. But the rest of the set around him is lit that way. And I did it all on paper. You know, I wasn't digitally animating yet. So I was sitting at my desk animating on paper, and they were scanning everything in and then digitally paint them.
I wish more movies were made like this. This is amazing.
Isn't it cool?
Yeah.
What a really cool way to like combine miniatures with animation.
Yeah, it was so much fun. And the end result was just super cool.